So welcome back to The Answers in Your Garage. So today the question is, what am I going to do to my Triumph Daytona 765? Well, I just got back from a track day a couple days ago, and I decided after riding with some other folks that had the same bike but had modified it for the track that it's time to make this a track-specific bike. Specifically because, maybe next year I might want to do some crazy like race it. So anyway, we're gonna do a lot of videos here on this because we're gonna do full teardown of the bike, maybe even make some parts like fairings and things. We're gonna pull a lot of components out, maybe delete the ABS, buy some other components to put on, maybe a track specific setup, data logger, new dash, data logger dash or something like that. Set the exhaust up for the track, then we got to get the ECU flash, so that means I'm going to have to take it to a tuner at some point in time. Starting on this platform is pretty good because it has quite a few things on it already that are really ideal for the track. It has an excellent braking system, it has Brembo brakes, really good. It has Olin suspension on it already. I might make some spring changes or maybe put in some different dampers or something like that. I don't know, we'll see how that goes. Probably not going to do anything internally on the engine at this point. Something does go wrong with the engine as part of this whole exercise, and that's a good time to bring it in. Maybe get the intake ports polished, maybe do something with the valves. I don't know. We'll get into all of that. But it's going to be basically a big adventure. Love this bike on the track. Hopefully I don't make it so I don't love it anymore. It's definitely my best track bike. And now what I want to do is turn it into or actually get the potential out of it that I believe is in this bike. Really make it the kind of thing that I can go around on the track and start getting some serious lap times and maybe compete in some races. So we'll see where we go with that. Anyway, as you've noticed right now for this video at least, what I'm going to do is just start doing some teardown. I'm going to probably fast forward the whole thing, put in some commentary over the top to talk about things that we might do. I'm trying to figure this out though with Triumph. This is the Moto2 tribute bike. So they made an engine. They came up with the 765 motor. They started putting it in the Street Triple, and it's a great motor. But this is the same motor that they're supplying to the Moto2 class in MotoGP, which is pretty cool if you think about it. So it's inspired by the Moto2. However, being something that you really want to take on the track, they basically took a 675R and added carbon fiber to it and painted it black. A little bit bigger engine, but it makes the same horsepower because they tuned the engine down. Why did they do that? I'm looking at you, Triumph. On the other hand, this 1000RR that I have right here, this came with all kinds of stuff to make it track ready. Real easy. The mirrors come off super easy. There's a kit that they give you with the bike that replaces, puts a cover under here. This whole thing comes out. It takes me about 15 minutes to convert this into a track ready bike. You don't have to put any tape on it even. I have to tape up here. I have to tape up the tail light. The Triumph doesn't make any kits that make that any easier. So one of the things I'm going to be doing is replacing all this body work. I'm going to try to make my own. We'll see how that goes. But we're going to replace the body work with, I make some molds. I can either make carbon fiber or I can make fiberglass molds. It doesn't, or fairings. So once I have the mold, I can make whatever I want, any material. But the point is that this thing is a pain in the neck to take like these mirrors off. I have to remove this fairing. To take the turn lights off, turn signals on the front, I have to remove the fairing. And I was at the track and I knocked the bike over accidentally when I was storing it in the RV to take it home. This thing shattered. I had to put tape over it because it takes hours to get this thing converted to where I'm comfortable to put it on the track, removing all the bits and pieces that don't need to be on there. It's crazy. Triumph, I'm looking at you. Try harder. Let's get to it. Let's start doing some teardown, and from there we'll see where we end up next. Here's some sped up video of me taking the fairings off, taking off some other parts and pieces that are not going to be needed when I turn this into a track bike. So fairings are going to come off. Obviously, I'll get the fuel tank off so that way I can get down. I'm going to have to take the airbox out as well at some point and get down and install some, or remove some of the emissions gear and install some cover plates that I bought. I'll put a full build list when I'm done in the videos in this series together so that if anybody's interested, the full update of what I've done and what parts I've changed out and what I did will all be there. The fairings on this bike are a pain in the neck to take off. There's a right fairing, a left fairing, a cockpit. It's pretty traditional for a street road bike. The thing is, though, is for what this bike was purposed for or intended to do, it seems like Triumph could have put in a little bit more time instead of just copying the molds for the 675R fairings and then making carbon fiber parts out of them. The carbon fiber is really nice, don't get me wrong. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, it's light, it's everything it's supposed to be, except that it takes forever. You would not go through this whole process in order to just set your bike up for a track day weekend, which is really what I think this was intended to be. Would have been great if they'd come up with a monocoque or one-piece upper and one-piece lower fairing set like you find on most track bike fairings that was held on with, you know, quick release screws or something like that, so you could get them on and off quickly. Maybe a way to remove the headlights more quickly would have been helpful. There's so much they could have done with this. I feel like they missed on the potential. The other thing is, once you get those side fairings off, then you can finally get to the turn signals, which is unbelievable. They're screwed in from the back on the inside of the fairing, so to take your turn signals off for a track day is, as you can see, it's like a 2-hour job. So anyway, once I get all the parts off, tank off, airbox out, I'm going to make some modifications. For instance, remove the emissions gear, take the exhaust off completely, the full exhaust off. I have a Hindle exhaust that I'm going to install. Oh, here I'm talking about my TrackMate GPS. That thing's worth its weight in gold. Not only does it track your bike with a GPS, it has its own cellular battery inside and connects to the cellular network, so you always know where it is and what it's doing. The engine starts, it tells you if you can geofence it. If it leaves geofence, it tells you if it's being towed, it'll tell you. And it also has a feature where remotely you can disable the motorcycle. So in this case, I wired it with a relay to the fuel pump, and that way I can stop the bike, which was really helpful for my 2018 R6 when it was stolen. I recovered it within 45 minutes of when it was stolen because I was able to turn it off after the ignition was cracked out by the thief, and then as he was rolling down the highway, I turned off the fuel pump, and then within 45 minutes I had my motorcycle back. But anyway, this is going to be a little bit of a journey, and you know, the first step is get the parts off, and then we'll go through all the other things that I'm going to do in the next videos. Here I'm struggling to get the tank off, which is always my favorite part. I'm just making that up. I hate taking the tanks off motorcycles. It's sport bikes in particular. Getting your hands underneath without bending or scraping something or causing damage to the paint it's just a pain in the neck. I just wish they made them a little more easy to disconnect. It's something I got to look into. I'm sure there's a way to do it better. So here's all the good stuff. So here's the ABS pump system. So very excited to take this out, I hope. Really don't need it for this bike. ECU's right here, fuel tank. Alright, so we're in good shape. Next step, figure out what kind of parts we're going to install.